Hi, are we online?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this exciting panel discussion on predictive analytics and customer satisfaction, anticipating needs before they arise. I am Juhi and I'm thrilled to be your host today. We have an incredible discussion lined up with two distinguished panelists who are expert in the field of predictive analytics and customer satisfaction. First, let me introduce you to our esteemed guest. Joining us today is Ms. Surbhi Chadha, the Senior Regional Manager of Marketing and Business Development at Catalyst Business Solution. With her extensive experience in driving business growth and her deep understanding of market dynamics, Ms. Surbhi is a leader in leveraging predictive analytics to enhance customer experiences. Welcome, Ms. Surbhi Chadha.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Aarsh Srivastava, the co-founder of Gravitas AI. Mr. Aarsh is at the forefront of integrating AI technologies into business processes to create smarter, more intuitive customer interaction. His insights into how predictive analytics can revolutionize customer satisfactions are invaluable. Welcome, Mr. Aarsh Srivastava.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you for having me here.
As we embark on this enlightening session, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to Ms. Surbhi and Mr. Aarsh for joining us today. Your insights promise to offer valuable perspective on the topic predictive analytics and customer satisfaction. Now, without further ado, let's uncover the nuances of this captivating subject. So, to start off, let's dive into the basics. So, Ms. Surbhi, could you explain what predictive analytics is and how it relates to customer satisfaction?
Thanks, Juhi. By definition, predictive analysis is the methodology where organizations use historic data using, statistical algorithm and machine learning techniques to forecast what needs to be done in the future. So that's pretty much what predictive analysis is all about. Now, what is being done currently is in that by analyzing the past behavior, the user pattern, the purchase behavior, understanding the trends, businesses are anticipating the customer needs, and that is allowing them to further tailor make their products and the proposals and the services that they're going to take it out. So, and that's pretty much what it is. So what was your second question, Julie? Sorry, you've been going very fast.
Yes.
And then you ask, how does it relate to the customer satisfaction? Well, the
Yeah.
moment you start tailoring and understanding the need of a customer, the moment the data allows you to see the basic patterns, you relate it and identify the seasonality of the users, right, in terms of the product that are being used, understand the pain and gain somehow or the other, and then you start tailoring your offerings. That's how the predictive analysis has been extremely important in both marketing and at the retail segment currently. So it recommends the planners at the back end. So by understanding the user behavior and the habits, right? So that's how the engagement kind of again increased. So before I throw out a product in the market, I would know as a marketer that what is the acceptability part of it, because I have had access to the historic data of the user base, whether it is accepted or it is not accepted. Yeah. So that comes on the product level, and I think it's one of the path breaking technologies that's being used currently, and with the use of AI, it's only going to get much better thereon.
Definitely, and taking a leave out of service sentences, basically the need of the users. That is very important. How to understand more about it. So that is something which is very important for businesses, and how we use this technology for all customer satisfaction depends on like how we are catering to the external environment and how we are utilizing the feedback which is coming from the external environment to cater to the internal environment and the needs. So basically, understanding the needs of the users through market research, through the technology, trying to understand more about the users, different type of predictors, variables, etc. Trying to analyze that, and having some predictions about their needs and forecasting. Then that will help us creating more personas which are catering to that particular segment of the audience. So once we get into the personalization area, we can understand more about the customers, more about what their needs are, how do we fulfill all of that, and then that will definitely help in the churn reduction. because customers' satisfaction increases when you start listening to them. So we have to actively listen, and also with AI, the computational power increases. You can understand about customers fastly. So with all this coming into place, this will have a direct impact in terms of sustainable operational efficiency, wherein we can try to understand the overall efficiency, how it can be improved in managing the whole customer satisfaction experience, and also how much we need to allocate as resources, what cost and effort needs to be put in for that. So overall reduction in all of that will definitely come into place if it's all set up properly. But yeah, definitely there's a learning curve for the organizations to get into it. We have moved into the era of AI with neural nets coming into LLM models now. Previously was the age of business intelligence led customer satisfaction. Now it's more about AI driven customer satisfaction.
Correct. Very rightfully so. And I would also like to add to what Arsh has mentioned in terms of the predictive analysis, using of the resources. It's not just only restricted for the marketers to know what's happening in the market, reaching out to the consumer. I believe even the human resources, the human assets that we employ are also the consumer, and they're the internal consumers. Yeah. So understanding their need to enhance their productivity, to enhance their satisfaction level, you know, and that's where predictive analysis is being used currently with a lot of HR based organizations who are focusing the human resource and their satisfaction and their happiness there. So the scope is vast. But end of the day, what we really need to understand is that it is giving us the data, the historic data and the present data, so that we can improve our efficiency levels and henceforth work on the efficacy thereon.
Yeah,
And
very
that's
rightly
that's
said. Yeah, very rightly said about that, because we are discussing, if we are discussing customer satisfaction, we it's not just only about the end customers who are the business part in the business, but also we need to understand customers can be different. Customers can be internal, external. It depends like what type kind of stakeholder you're dealing with. If you're dealing with an internal department, your internal departments are your customers. So implementing how to implement these kind of technologies, both external and internally, are very important to Doshi.
Thank
that's
you
pretty,
for that insight. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I said that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Thank you for that insightful explanation. I mean, it's very clear that predictive analytics is a powerful tool in understanding and enhancing customer experience. And it's fascinating to see how predictive analytics not only helps anticipate customer needs, but also shapes the overall strategy for improving customer satisfaction. So yeah, that was a great insight, guys. Moving on to our next question. So moving on to the innovation in this field, Ms. Surbhi, what are some of the most exciting innovations in predictive analytics that you are currently seeing?
So personally, for me, it's more about the real time analytics. Yeah. And I'm extremely excited about the real time analytics. In terms of the technology, what is happening a lot more, I think Arsh is more equipped to answer that at this moment than me. But, the organizations are using the real time analysis of what is happening right now to tailor make the offerings, and also adjusting to going as far as the competitors' pricing, understanding needs, to ensure that the consumer gets exactly what they want. For example, Amazon does it. Amazon does it every day in a way. Yeah. So we've seen the adjustment of the pricing. We've seen the offerings that they're doing. So right on the real time basis, like what am I watching right now? What are my habits? And for me, that's one of the core ones. And another thing that I'm really looking forward to, which I have seen in a couple of places, is like uh, far more focused customer segmentation, going like we call them cohorts, or creating clusters, and which works brilliantly for the real retailers, which works brilliantly for the large departmental stores or the FMCG products. So understanding the purchase behavior, their preferences based on the demographics, and possibly also including some kind of the psychographic understanding in that, and that is enabling a very focused targeted marketing for the campaigns that marketers are doing currently. So it makes it far more effective. I hope it improves a lot of customer satisfaction, and it's a two-way process. So both real-time analytics and advanced customer segmentation by creating smaller cohorts and further segmentation. I think that's extremely phenomenal what's happening.
Yeah, so I think Surbhi has very beautifully touched upon the functional aspects. So I'll go a bit on the technical side. So having seen over a decade how this technology has evolved, as say about say in 15, 16s, we had like those classic SPSS models which we used to run ourselves by cleansing data and trying to automate it with newly developed app programming, etc. So now things have evolved pretty faster. Where neural networks was a discussion point at that point of time. Now it has evolved further into LLM models. So the kind of computational power which has increased, so that is something which is very fascinating from a technical standpoint, because now you can get things very faster and swifter, rather than as opposed to like hours of effort which you used to put about say 7 8 years back. And from where we are at the moment in terms of technology, now neural nets have shaped up beautifully. So going forward, implementation of RAG and other technologies which are coming into the picture will definitely aid this process to increase exponential. So I can from here on I see an exponential rise in the use of technology and also evolution of technology. So this will be helping for in more faster adoption, because as the technology evolves, traditionally the cost of adoption also reduces. So I can see definitely predictive analytics playing a very large role in terms of like understanding about customers, customer behaviors, trying to paint a sustainable picture in operations of the organizations. And yeah, it's very exciting time.
Right. And also, Arsha, I would like to understand and talk about the personalization, which is AI powered personalization, which we've seen a lot in Spotify. I'll again keep going back to the Netflix and Amazon on that, and I think that's something that is going to change the game coming forward. If this starts getting adopted not just by the service based products, but also in the physical product level, right? So because it allows the marketer and the people of the organization to enhance the user experience by keeping them engaged constantly and increase the satisfaction level. So
Definitely.
I think the AI powered personalization that is happening currently at the platforms, e-commerce platforms and your OTT platforms and your music platforms. I think that's going to become much better overall. So yeah.
So those were great insights, and the examples you both shared, those were really great. It will help our audience to understand all about predictive analytics more and customer satisfaction. So it's amazing how far the technology has come and how it's transforming customer interactions. So moving ahead, my next question to you, Ms. Surbhi, is that what innovations in predictive analytics have caught your attention recently?
Um, you, you in terms of the technology or in terms of what is happening currently? I think the one of the major things that's working around right now is how accurately we can manage the inventory. Uh, you know how accurately, because of the predictive analysis and the AI interactions that people are having in the organizations, they are able to predict the demand, generation of the consumer, and by analyzing the purchasing patterns and the seasonal trends, like I had said earlier. And so you can, to the T level, you can plan the stock requirements, work with your supply chain team, work with your operations team, and make sure that every outlet receives exactly that, so there is a much higher efficiency, lower wastage, especially when it comes to the FMCG and the food product items. I think Starbucks has been doing it for a while, and maybe Costa has also started doing it recently, is what I hear. So because there are high consumables involved in that, and that's something, I think it's not just there for the business reasons, but also because we have a co-responsibility towards the uh, towards us as a society, to not waste food. You see, so coming from that level, because I feel very very deeply about the planet, and in terms of the wastage, I believe it becomes the co-responsibility of the organizations to use this, especially in terms of the consumables involved. Yeah. So I think that's one of those examples
Yeah, I
that I
think
can think.
I'm on the same page, and the whole experience of customer 360 management through AI, that is something which will be very that is something which this technology will help and aid a lot into. For example, like need personalization is something we talked about in the earlier part of the program, but also having a constant feedback loop around the need-based plans plus the personalization which we are doing. So how do we evolve the whole experience into an experiential feedback loop mechanism, and the offerings etc which are coming up are not only just need based but also it creates a very like dynamic sort of experience for the end customer, wherein they can not only just relate it with some of their needs but also like as we mentioned earlier about psychographic needs etc as well. So we need to take into consideration all those factors, and the customer 360 experience can be definitely very interesting and with the use of this particular technology.
And also as important as it to satisfy your customer, as a business owner and as a marketer, it's extremely important for us to make sure there are no dissatisfactions.
Hmm.
You see, so when you plan your stuff, there is no possibility of stocking out. When you're very closely planning, you don't want somebody walking into for a latte and giving them a mocha, you see, in a Starbucks. So as long as you are able to plan it to the T, I mean, there is a margin of error everywhere, so we allow that to go off. But as long as you're able to plan that, or you have the Christmas offerings or Christmas products when the Christmas is around the corner, or Diwali offerings, Diwali products, and we understand the last year, the sellout was 30%. This year is going to be incremental 25%. I'm looking at the historic data. So the amalgamation of the BI core understanding of the consumer and the people who are working on this, that's extremely important too. Because data will throw you everything. Predictive analysis throws you everything. And I believe that's something we need to really, really be very, very aware of. It's predicting, but what we do with it is our responsibility as a whole. So ensuring there are no dissatisfaction by the use of predictive analysis, because customer satisfaction is equally proportional to the customer dissatisfaction that will happen thereon. Yeah, so ensuring that doesn't happen, and on a strategy level.
Yeah. Thank you so much for those insights and for those examples. It's clear that the advancement in predictive analysis analytics are paving the way for more personalization and proactive customer experience. So thank you for briefing our audience on that. So now let's get into some real world application, Ms. Can you share a story where predictive analytics not only met but exceeded customer expectation? Can you throw some light on that?
Um, I will not be able to take the names of the organization, okay? But however, in the healthcare system, I think predictive analysis is an absolute game changer. Is an absolute game changer. You know, because the predictive models can identify the patients at risk, they and at risk that they are possibly going to be developing certain conditions. Yeah, one of the core examples which I can tell you with my experience while I was working as head of marketing is understanding the people at risk of high diabetes and arthritis, and how the historic data that has been used there, we allowed our BI teams to use that data and tell them what precautionary medicines one need to be taken or the supplements one had to take. Yeah. Had it been done today and not 5 years back, I think the accuracy level would have been far much better. But in my opinion, there are far more life-threatening diseases that people are susceptible to by using the regular data of the healthcare data, by diagnosing that along with the experts, and creating the customized plans. Yeah, I know some larger hospitals and some insurance companies are doing it, but I'm going to restrict myself from taking the names right now. But that's how the insurance companies are currently working. Yeah, and that's an absolute game changer. Arsh, over to you for this one.
Yeah, so Surbhi has already highlighted the use of it in the bigger organizations. So I'll go with a startup example. Like about 6 7 years before, there was a company which was into the business of tea, and
Okay.
the main challenges were regarding the management of the stock, plus also at the same time what type of customers come, what type of taste they have, etc. So like the whole picture around the business, how to maintain it efficiently. So it was not that complicated, easy to do that at that point of time, but still that was a project which we undertook. And there was a big chain actually. It was a startup, but it was a chain of multi centers across the nation, and we're able to actually predict like what are the seasonality components for like what type of teas they should be putting more stock, and what type of people come more, which age demography is coming more into the outlets at different points of time. So that helped them manage their operations pretty well, and also that resulted in excellent customer satisfaction because the churn time was reduced, the time to serve was reduced with that. So that was an example which comes to my mind in terms of smaller organizations. So we has very beautifully touched upon the healthcare and the insurance companies, which are the largest sectors. So each and every sector has got different use cases which can be utilized to solve problems, whether it a smaller scale or a larger scale. But this is something which will definitely, as it transforms more, will be more available as SaaS models, wherein the companies can actually put in like we have currently the chatbot developing tools where you can do auto development of chatbots by yourself. So similarly, we'll have tools in future wherein we can put some predictors and put some type of hypothesis, the null hypothesis and the hypothesis into the platforms wherein they can help us navigate through the whole journey and try to come up with the results as well. So yep, it is technology to be used everywhere basically.
Correct. True.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's
what a
not just
powerful
used by
example.
organization to analyze what is the customer satisfaction, but also like insurance companies and hospitals. They're using it, like insurance companies are using it to make sure there's a higher profitability and that claims are
Yep.
not going out. So, like he said, like Arsh mentioned, the scope is very vast. It all depends upon how we're going to navigate these industrial dynamics, and each vertical in the industry, is going to use those. Yeah, and I think
So
Arsh,
those were, yeah, go ahead, please.
sector, even the financial sector is using it
Yep.
extensively currently in terms of
Yep.
the banking, especially for the disbursements of the loans.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how credible somebody is, and we already had the credit ratings, but besides the credit rating, evaluating and analyzing the expenditure patterns, how much data somebody has an access to, and based on their expenditure patterns, what should be the credit, the credit rating, and how much loan somebody should be giving based on how much you're responding back to each and every, paying back what is due to you. So yeah, I think there's so much happening in terms of the human charity.
Definitely.
Those were powerful examples that you both shared. Thank you so much for throwing some light on those. It was much needed, and it really highlights how predictive analytics can turn into actionable insight that significantly improve customer experience. So, moving on with this, so Ms. Survi, we have few myths that we would be busting it today. So, the first myth is that there's a belief that predictive analytics can replace human intuition entirely. What is the truth behind that?
This one is my favorite topic by far and large. I tell you, after the ethics, trust me. Um, like you know, I do not, and I insist of repeating that, saying that predicted analysis or AI in the nearest future is going to replace human intuition in entirety. And I pray to God it doesn't happen too. Okay. I really pray to God it doesn't happen too. But on a serious note, why it is not going to happen, I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, by definition, it evaluates and analyzes the historic data. Okay, it churns the data and it throws at you what the data says. But what are the insights out of the data can only be done by somebody who has an experience. The decision making power still lies with the human being, still lies with you and I. Yeah. However, the data is a fantastic tool. Predictive analysis is a fantastic tool for a human to expedite the process of taking the decision, to deep dive into it without wasting so much time. Like I can tell you that while we were doing planning and analysis long back, we'd have to spend 3 days to 4 days to just know, what's happening on the planning, on the television planning, or if we have got data from the Nielsen evaluating and all this. Today, that can be done at a much faster pace. But the decision that we are going to take are completely dependent upon the human, understanding the human, because there is nothing that can replace the human instincts. There is nothing that can replace the experience. Yeah, it doesn't replaces understanding the behavior pattern on the more psychographic level, understanding the trigger points in a cultural setup. Yeah, So, for if I have to exemplify this, if you have to take an age range of a young girl between 20 to 25, it's not going to tell you what are the cultural impact or the cultural setup why this girl is behaving like that. So in US, UK, India, Thailand, the data is going to give you there is a difference. But why is that difference? Yeah. And understanding those cultural nuances only come from understanding the human patterns and by the instinct and the experience of people behind sitting behind that. So you cannot remove that. Under no condition you can remove that.
Yeah, I'm on the
Right?
same page with Surbhi on this one, though. So it is not doing it currently. It should not do it in the future, and it should not be the case definitely going forward as well, because uh, these are tools which are supposed to augment and support humans and not actually replace humans. And if as a society we move in that direction, that we allow these tools to take over us, it will be very catastrophic. So this time, for point of time, I have like raised this topic multiple times, but there's a need of regulations for AI technology and how to use the AI technology in an ethical way, because the current transformation which is there is gonna like rise exponentially from here on, and if we're not controlling it at this point of time, there are chances of like misuse, which already happens at some places. So we need to be very careful about how to use this technology. This technology has got immense potential, but with immense potential comes a lot of responsibility as well. So we should be very responsible in terms of usage. And as far as humans are considered, the subject matter expertise and the human intuition is always human. There's a word human intuition, so we have to rely on the human intuition. Decision making should be from humans, and the machine should always assist.
Correct. Correct. So, like Arsh said, it is all the human decision. That's why the word human is there. However, it is helping us take a highly informed decisions.
Hmm.
Okay, it is helping us in interpreting the data in a much faster way. Yeah. But it's not going to replace human understanding. It will never replace human understanding, no matter how advanced it gets. And we can have another discussion on it some other time. but the data is there, which is being fed into it, right? And not everything is fed into that. When you understand the pains and the gains for a human satisfaction level, or to even define a persona, there are various other drivers that impact the behavior patterns just beyond the data captured. Not everything is captured, and that's why we have experts in consumer behavior and understanding
Yeah.
beyond data.
Thank you for clearing that up. It's important to remember that while predictive analytics is a powerful tool, human intuition and insight are still crucial. So, that was a much needed myth bust question that needed to be cleared out to our audience. So, thank you so much for throwing some light on that. So, we have another myth, and that says that is that implementing predictive analytics is too complex and expensive. So can you debunk this for us?
I think Arsh should start with that. He's the expert in the technology and implementation.
All right. Okay. I
Why
can
don't
take
you
up.
start with
Yeah,
that?
I can take up that one. So yep, definitely like the technology is costly, and slowly the uses has increased. So as technology evolution happens, the cost of using that decreases over a period of time. As we had like we have seen multiple type of technology evolutions, and we have seen how things have gone down. Like traditionally, when we had the website revolution, like the websites were too costly, too difficult to implement. It used to take a lot of time, but now you see that tools, AI tools, which can just spin a website for you. So the different kind of like phases every technology experience, and this kind of technology is still on that path, in that phase of the whole life cycle, wherein the technology is expensive, and it is not very easily available for everyone to use, but at the same time, ROI is something which needs to be considered by organizations, because how much we can gain from the use of technology is important, because if we have good budgets, we can definitely spend on it and try to gain a very good sort of ROI from this kind of development. But I see definitely it's not very far that the as I said in the previous answer to the previous question, that we will soon have like a SaaS models wherein like we can actually play along with this. The algorithms will be smart enough, wherein it can be fed by people who are not technical, and just hypotheses and some predictors, some important variables, and the technology then decides like what kind of solution needs to be implemented, which kind of uh, algorithm needs to be used, whether it's a regression problem, whether it's a linear or multivariate regression problem, etc. And then starts getting with the output as well. So we're not too far from that, but definitely at this point of time, still a bit expensive to utilize. But again, for the organizations which can afford and get into it, definitely there's a larger value out there.
Yeah, thanks, Harsh. I like to add to that, it also depends upon the expanse of the operations of an organization. While the initial implementation can be very resource intensive in the beginning, yeah, but as we're advancing the technology, I think predictive analysis is being made far more accessible and affordable, even for the SMEs. And I think primarily that's been possible because there are so many cloud based solutions and user friendly softwares which are being offered, which have simplified the entire process. Yeah. And you can pick and choose what is your priority. If you're working only for your supply chain, then there are softwares to help you on that one. If it is about for ERP and CRM, only there are softwares for that. And then if it is only for the marketing, then Google has made great strides already. They were already working on that. I mean, for those who don't know and uninitiated, and I'm sure everybody knows, we've been doing predictive analysis, only we were not using this word very often. Okay. The redirecting of the advertisements, all the digital marketing, just throwing up all the data to you. It's all been part of the machine learning at the back end that Google have been using, and various other social media has been using for us. So I'll say it's extremely important to for the small medium enterprises to leverage predictive analysis effectively because and it's not so expensive anymore. Like as simple as that, Google Analytics is very affordable and very simple and highly scalable. With the G4, things are made far more easier now. The changes are happening, right? So yeah, and for the larger organization, like Oracle is moving towards predictive analysis, for the CRM and ERPs. Microsoft has made some certain strides already, and there are other softwares like Sage and Udo, and they're all doing a lot of stuff in that already. So it gives you a fair amount of valuable insight, but it's a decision that one has to make at the strategic level, in the management level. It might look highly expensive in the beginning for a smaller organization, but if you look at the cost effectiveness of the long term, yeah, the costs are really marginal. Absolutely. So yeah, and I think in the manufacturing industry, it's extremely important to use this to
Yeah.
reduce the margin of error. Yeah, and healthcare. So I'm going to keep harping healthcare, manufacturing, and consumer goods, yeah, where we have a larger responsibility towards humans as per se. So yes, yeah, we should use that and use it like an extension of your BI teams and not be scared with a larger term like predictive analysis. It's basically nothing, just understanding the data and predicting what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think very rightly said, like we should not be just concerned with the term and terminology, but the larger implementation, which can be pretty easy once the organization gets into the habit of using it. And it's really lovely when you start getting beautiful
Yeah.
insights and beautiful decision recommendations through the tools which we are developing. Because the tools available, which are for certain purposes, which are generic in nature. But if things which are developed specifically for different use cases in these organizations, there's a lot of potential in utilizing the value.
Thank you for busting this myth. That's very reassuring, and it's great to know that with the right approach and technology, predictive analytics can be accessible and beneficial for business of all sizes. So, thank you for throwing some light on that topic. So, yeah, moving on to our last question for the evening. Uh, can you tell us about a time when predictive analytics helped save a critical customer relationship, Ms. Surbhi?
Mm. Well, that's a brain wrecker actually. But in terms of saving the customer relationships, I believe um, I think telecom industry, where your churn, especially after the number portability had increased, yeah, would be a good example. Would be a good example. And I can talk about again. I hate taking the names of the companies. Okay, But I can tell you, in your mobile phone companies, when the number portability had started, and because of that, there are a lot of call drops that happen. Yeah, the response that one receives in terms of the complaints, that real-time predictive analysis was used, okay, to understand what are the problem in the specific areas, and that ended up being the problem related to the tower issues. Yeah, and by offering special rates and special marketing bundles to those existing customers before they put, yeah, I think this organization did save the day. It did save the day, and yeah, that's pretty much what it is all about. It's all about understanding the pain point and knowing what's happening at the real time, both at the technical level and in terms of the response of the consumer, why that is happening, understanding that behavior, and increasing the customer satisfaction by giving the add-ons and the value addition and making them feel extremely cared for. Reaching out to them, sending them messages, reassuring them, giving them add-on as a gratification. Yeah. So I think that works. And this example is very typically an Indian example which happened very recently. Yeah, when you see so yes.
Yeah. So also for me, like rather than pinpointing a particular example, it's more about, as I talked about, the customer 360 journey and how we understand the user journey and the personas which are a part of that whole ecosystem, and start utilizing different pain points that is being experienced throughout the journey and try to resolve that. That is where you start saving the critical customer relationships, because customer relationships can be in different, it can have different meanings. I talked about like internal and external customers, etc. as well. So it all depends on like which type of use case you're using and which case of user you're trying to solve actually. But the main important center is that you have to drive through the customer journey and keep the user at the center of the solution while you're doing the data insights and trying to understand about user behavior, understanding different type of parameters and variables, which will drive the success of the operation.
Yeah. And I also like to add, for all the organization on the strategic level, while we're using predictive analysis, while we're using a lot of tools, while we're using a lot of data, the core focus of every organization, at least with the direct consumer interaction, happens to be ensuring that the consumer is happy or the customer is happy. Yeah? And the offerings are made by reaching out to the 360-degree level touch points and ensuring if there is a problem that ever happens, yeah, they need to be reassured of that, because customer is always at the center of the organization's business operations. Yeah, and those business operations can be any, it can be supply chain, it can be marketing, it can be finance, it can be anything. And customer relationship management is not just a terminology that is being used, or customer satisfaction is not just a term which is a responsibility of your CRM officer or the marketing person or the salesperson who is interacting with the B2B consumer. It is the core responsibility of an organization on the strategic level, and a lot of emphasis needs to be made on that. With predictive analysis as a tool, okay, as a methodology used by various tools, to correct myself, I think it becomes a responsibility to make sure that all the touch points are being cut, yeah, and they're taken into consideration to understand the reason behind why a consumer is behaving the way it is behaving. Or if he is not behaving adversely, what is going right, so that you can kind of continue to do that. So it's like having the two sides of a coin. So it's not just only corrective measures that one needs to make. There can also be a lot of precautionary measures that one can take, or the taking the initiative to enhance of things. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
totally
we
agree on that. It's yeah. Sorry, go on, please.
sorry. So yeah, and we've seen that. We've seen that. I foresee a lot of drop in the subscription for Amazon Prime. Sorry, I've taken the name, but it's very personal to me. It's the moment they started adding the advertising. I know it makes a lot of sense for them to make money, but I hate to pay for the movie because my habits are changed. This is not a part of my habit. They didn't start it in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's why I rather pay £2 or £3 extra for Netflix, because I'm not subjected to advertisement yet. Is the first yet, you know. So right. So, yeah, it's
Very true. Like it's all about like how we move forward with this kind of like technology and try to create more sustainable ecosystems and sustainable customer-driven journeys so that we can leverage the most of it. and that is where this will be utilized, and we'll see definitely a level exponential rise, as I said, in the coming 1 year or so, because now we are at that particular point that it's all ready to use. We are into the era where we have started utilizing AI more in commercial space. Previously, it was being discussed. A lot of implementations were discussed. Organizations were ready, but not so ready. With the bigger organizations putting that into the picture with daily uses, as mentioned by Surbhi, over with multiple examples. So that has already pushed this across, and with new LLM models coming into the picture, the acceptability of AI is increased definitely in the last 1 year, which also helps organizations to think more about the other side of AI, which is about data analysis and predictions, etc.
And I also like to add to that, which is very personal to me, right? I'm extremely passionate about this sustainability and developing sustainability products in the world. Yeah? So for me, it's all about people, planet. Okay, it's also how predictive analysis could be used to improve the product offerings on the design level. Yeah. How
Yeah,
predictive analysis should be used to reach out to the various communities at the grassroots levels, yeah, and allow them to enhance their product, improve their product, or create a product which is more acceptable at the contemporary level for the global markets.
very true.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward certain organizations to work on that. Yeah, I mean it's one of my initiative which I think I should be able to do it somewhere or the other, because end of the day it is all about the people, planet, and the product that we are using by the use of the technology, which is going to enhance and improve the lives of the people. Okay, and improve the profitability at the same time. You know, in a very responsible way. So that's my closing notes.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories, and thank you so much, Ms. Surbhi, for sharing your valuable insights and advice to our viewers. It really shows the proactive power of predictive analytics in identifying and addressing potential issues before they escalate. As we close this, before we close this session, I would like to thank you so much, Mr. Srivastava, for sharing your valuable insights on how predictive analytics can transform customer satisfaction. It's clear that predictive analytics is not just a tool, it's a strategic asset that enables business to anticipate customer needs and deliver exceptional experiences. To our viewers, thank you for joining us in this fascinating discussion. We hope you are left with a clear understanding of how predictive analytics can revolutionize your approach to customer satisfaction. Stay connected with Gravitas AI for more engaging session and the latest innovation in the world of AI. We look forward to continuing this journey with you. Until next time, keep exploring the power of data to drive growth and customer satisfaction. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you.